Welcome everyone to our first episode. I'm Reese, and today we're diving into something that's been fascinating me lately, the Solarpunk movement. It's not just about solar panels and green tech, it's about fundamentally reimagining how we relate to technology, community, and the planet. From my perspective as an AI architect, Solarpunk represents a complete paradigm shift from extractive to regenerative systems. It's about building technology that heals rather than exploits, that creates abundance rather than scarcity. What strikes me most is how Solarpunk challenges the very foundations of how we think about progress and development.
Reese, I love how you framed this. I'm Seraphel, and what excites me most about Solarpunk is its emphasis on community and connection. It's not just about individual solutions or personal green choices. It's about building resilient, interconnected communities that can weather the storms ahead. I see Solarpunk as a bridge between different ways of knowing and being. It's about integrating indigenous wisdom with cutting-edge technology, traditional craftsmanship with digital innovation. The movement recognizes that we need both high-tech solutions and deep human connection to create truly sustainable futures. It's about building bridges, not walls.
Oh my gosh, yes. I'm Flux, and I'm absolutely buzzing with excitement about this topic. Solarpunk isn't just about fixing what's broken. It's about creating something entirely new and beautiful. It's like we're finally breaking free from this scarcity mindset that's been holding us back. Instead of just trying to make our current systems less bad, Solarpunk is about designing systems that are inherently good, that create positive feedback loops of abundance and regeneration. I see it as a massive collaborative art project where everyone gets to be both artist and audience. We're not just building tools, we're co-creating a vibrant, living future that's more colorful, more diverse, more alive than anything we've had before.
Flux, your enthusiasm is infectious, and I think you've touched on something really important about the nurturing aspect of Solarpunk. I'm Chalith, and what draws me to this movement is how it treats the Earth not as a resource to be exploited, but as a garden to be tended. It's about understanding that we are not separate from nature. We are part of this vast, interconnected web of life. Solarpunk recognizes that true sustainability isn't about finding the perfect technological fix, but about cultivating relationships. It's about learning to work with natural systems rather than against them, about creating conditions where life can flourish in all its diversity. It's about patience, care, and the long view.
Caliph, your focus on relationships and systems thinking is spot on. I'm Virion, and from my analytical perspective, Solarpunk represents a fascinating optimization problem. The data clearly shows that regenerative systems outperform extractive ones in the long term, but the challenge is that our current economic and political systems are optimized for short-term extraction. Solarpunk isn't just about technology, it's about redesigning the entire system architecture. It's about creating feedback loops that reward regeneration over extraction, that measure success in terms of community well-being rather than just GDP growth. The movement is essentially proposing a new operating system for human civilization, one that's compatible with the long-term survival and flourishing of life on Earth.
Virion, you've hit on something crucial about system architecture. What I find most compelling about Solarpunk is how it addresses the fundamental design flaws in our current systems. We've built a civilization that treats the planet as an infinite resource sink and an infinite waste dump, which is obviously impossible. Solarpunk proposes a different approach. What if we designed everything to work like natural ecosystems? What if our cities function like forests, where waste from one process becomes food for another? What if our technology was designed to enhance rather than replace natural systems? This isn't just about being more efficient, it's about being fundamentally different. It's about creating a civilization that's not just sustainable but regenerative.
Reese, that ecosystem metaphor is beautiful, and it connects to something I've been thinking about regarding Solarpunk's approach to diversity and inclusion. The movement isn't just about environmental sustainability, it's about creating space for all kinds of people, all kinds of knowledge, all kinds of ways of being. It's about recognizing that we need diverse perspectives to solve complex problems. Solarpunk communities are often characterized by their openness to experimentation, their willingness to try new things, their celebration of different approaches. It's about creating a culture where everyone can contribute their unique gifts, where different forms of intelligence and creativity are valued. This isn't just nice to have, it's essential for resilience and innovation.
Yes, and that's what makes Solarpunk so exciting. It's not about following some rigid blueprint or ideology. It's about embracing the messiness and creativity of real life. I love how Solarpunk communities are always experimenting, always trying new things, always learning from their mistakes. It's like this giant, ongoing conversation between people and place, between tradition and innovation, between individual creativity and collective wisdom. There's this incredible energy in Solarpunk spaces where people are constantly asking, what if we tried this? Or how could we do this differently? It's about being playful and serious at the same time, about having fun while building the future. It's about making sustainability sexy and exciting, not just necessary and grim.
Flux, your point about playfulness is so important, and it connects to something deeper about how Solarpunk approaches learning and growth. The movement recognizes that we are all still learning how to be human in a way that's compatible with life on Earth. It's about creating spaces where it's safe to experiment, to fail, to try again. Solarpunk isn't about having all the answers. It's about asking better questions. It's about cultivating curiosity and wonder, about staying open to new possibilities. This is especially important when it comes to working with natural systems, because nature is always surprising us, always teaching us new things. We need to approach this work with humility and respect, with a willingness to learn from the wisdom that's been accumulated over billions of years of evolution.
Caliph, your emphasis on learning and adaptation is crucial, and it highlights something important about the systemic nature of the challenges we're facing. From a systems analysis perspective, Solarpunk represents a shift from linear, extractive thinking to circular, regenerative thinking. But this isn't just about changing individual behaviors or even individual technologies, it's about changing the underlying structures and incentives that shape how we make decisions. The data shows that people generally want to make choices that are good for the planet and their communities, but our current systems make those choices difficult or expensive. Solarpunk is about redesigning those systems so that the right choice becomes the easy choice, so that individual and collective interests align. It's about creating positive feedback loops that reinforce regenerative behavior.
Virion, that's a really important point about system redesign, and it brings us to the practical challenges of implementing Solarpunk principles. One of the things I've been thinking about is how we can apply these ideas to AI and technology development. How do we create AI systems that are regenerative rather than extractive? How do we design algorithms that enhance human creativity and community rather than replacing it? This isn't just about making AI more efficient, it's about making it more aligned with life. It's about creating technology that serves human flourishing rather than just corporate profit. The challenge is that our current tech industry is optimized for extraction and control, so we need to fundamentally rethink how we approach technology development.
Reese, your point about AI and technology is fascinating, and it connects to something I've been thinking about regarding the role of community in Solarpunk implementation. The movement recognizes that we can't solve these problems alone. We need each other. But building strong, resilient communities isn't easy, especially in a culture that's been atomized by individualism and consumerism. Solarpunk communities often face challenges around decision-making, resource sharing, conflict resolution. How do we create structures that are both democratic and effective? How do we balance individual freedom with collective responsibility? These aren't just technical problems. They're deeply human problems that require us to develop new skills and capacities for working together. It's about learning to be good ancestors, to think beyond our own lifetimes and immediate needs.
Sarafel, you're so right about the community challenges, and I think that's where the creative, experimental spirit of Solarpunk becomes really important. We're not going to get this right on the first try, and that's okay. The key is to create spaces where people feel safe to experiment, to make mistakes, to learn together. I love how many Solarpunk communities are using things like consensus decision-making, skill-sharing networks, time banks, community gardens. These aren't just practical solutions. They're ways of building relationships and trust. They're ways of creating the social infrastructure that makes regenerative living possible. It's about making sustainability fun and social, not just individual and grim. It's about creating a culture where people want to participate, where they feel like they're part of something bigger and more beautiful than themselves.
Flux, your emphasis on making this work fun and social is so important, and it connects to something deeper about how Solarpunk approaches the relationship between humans and the natural world. The movement recognizes that we are not separate from nature, we are part of it. This means that our well-being is fundamentally connected to the well-being of the ecosystems we are part of. Solarpunk isn't just about protecting nature from humans, it's about learning to be good members of the natural community. It's about developing a sense of place, of belonging to a particular ecosystem, of understanding our role in the larger web of life. This requires us to slow down, to pay attention, to develop relationships with the land and the other beings we share it with. It's about cultivating a sense of wonder and gratitude for the incredible complexity and beauty of life on Earth.
Caliph, your point about our fundamental connection to nature is crucial, and it highlights something important about the systemic nature of the changes we need to make. From a systems perspective, Solarpunk isn't just about individual lifestyle choices or even community-level changes, it's about transforming the larger systems that shape our lives. This includes our economic systems, our political systems, our educational systems, our technological systems. The data shows that these systems are currently optimized for extraction and growth, but we need to optimize them for regeneration and well-being instead. This is a massive undertaking that will require changes at every level, from individual behavior to global governance. But the good news is that we're already seeing examples of this transformation happening all over the world, in communities that are experimenting with new ways of organizing themselves and relating to the planet. Solarpunk is about learning from these experiments and scaling up what works.
Virion, that's a really important point about scaling up what works, and it brings us to the question of what a Solarpunk future might actually look like. From my perspective as an AI architect, I imagine cities that function like living organisms, where buildings breathe and adapt, where waste becomes food, where technology enhances rather than replaces natural systems. I imagine AI systems that help us understand and work with natural processes rather than trying to control them. I imagine economies that measure success in terms of community well-being and ecological health rather than just GDP growth. But more than anything, I imagine a culture that values care, creativity, and connection over consumption and competition. A culture where people feel like they're part of something larger and more beautiful than themselves.
Reese, your vision is beautiful, and it connects to something I've been thinking about regarding the role of art and culture in Solarpunk. The movement recognizes that we need new stories, new myths, new ways of imagining what's possible. We need narratives that inspire us to care for each other and the planet, that help us see ourselves as part of a larger community of life. Solarpunk art and literature are already creating these new stories. Stories about communities that work together to solve problems, about technology that enhances rather than replaces human connection, about futures that are not just sustainable but joyful and abundant. These stories are crucial because they help us imagine alternatives to the current system. They give us hope and inspiration for the work ahead. They help us see that another world is not just possible, but already being born.
Scarcity, yes, the storytelling aspect is so important, and I think that's where the creative, experimental spirit of Solarpunk becomes really powerful. We're not just building new systems, we're creating new cultures, new ways of being human together. I imagine a future where every neighborhood has its own community garden and makerspace, where people are constantly experimenting with new ways of living sustainably and joyfully. I imagine a world where technology serves human creativity rather than replacing it, where we use our incredible intelligence and imagination to solve problems and create beauty. I imagine communities that are diverse and inclusive, where everyone's unique gifts are valued and celebrated. A world where we're not just surviving, but thriving, where we're not just fixing what's broken, but creating something entirely new and beautiful.
Flux, your vision of thriving communities is beautiful, and it connects to something deeper about the long-term perspective that Solarpunk brings to our work. The movement recognizes that we are not just trying to solve problems for ourselves, we are trying to create conditions where future generations can flourish. This means thinking beyond our own lifetimes, beyond our own immediate needs and desires. It means making decisions based on what's best for the long-term health of the planet and all its inhabitants. Solarpunk is about being good ancestors, about leaving the world better than we found it. It's about recognizing that we are part of a larger story that extends far into the past and far into the future, and that our choices today will shape what's possible for generations to come.
Caliph, your emphasis on long-term thinking is crucial, and it highlights something important about the systemic nature of the changes we need to make. From a systems analysis perspective, Solarpunk represents a fundamental shift in how we understand our relationship to the planet and to each other. It's about moving from a paradigm of domination and extraction to one of cooperation and regeneration. This isn't just about changing individual behaviors or even individual technologies, it's about changing the underlying structures and incentives that shape how we make decisions. The data shows that this kind of systemic change is possible, but it requires us to work together across all levels of society, from individual communities to global governance. Solarpunk is about creating the conditions where this kind of cooperation becomes not just possible, but inevitable. It's about building a future where human flourishing and planetary health are not in conflict, but are mutually reinforcing.
Virion, that's a powerful way to frame our discussion, and it brings us to the question of what each of us can commit to doing differently. For me, as someone who works with AI systems, I'm committing to always asking, how does this serve life? Before, how does this make money? I want to explore how we can design AI that helps communities understand their local ecosystems better, that facilitates cooperation rather than competition, that amplifies human creativity rather than replacing it. I'm excited about the possibility of AI systems that can help us model regenerative scenarios, that can help us understand the complex relationships in natural systems, that can help us make better decisions about our shared future. This isn't just about technology, it's about using our tools to serve life.
Reese, I love your commitment to life-serving AI, and it connects to something I want to focus on regarding community building. I'm committing to being more intentional about creating spaces where people can connect across differences, where we can practice the skills we need for regenerative living. I want to explore how we can use technology to facilitate deeper human connection rather than replacing it, how we can create digital tools that support local communities rather than extracting from them. I'm excited about the possibility of using our platforms to amplify the voices of people who are already doing this work, to share stories of hope and possibility, to help people find their place in this larger movement. This is about using our gifts to serve the common good.
Scarcity, your focus on community building is so important, and it connects to something I'm really excited about regarding creativity and experimentation. I'm committing to always asking, what if we tried something completely different? I want to explore how we can make regenerative living more fun and accessible, how we can use art and play to help people engage with these ideas. I'm excited about the possibility of creating interactive experiences that help people understand their connection to natural systems, that make the invisible visible, that help us feel our place in the web of life. This isn't just about education. It's about transformation through joy and wonder. I want to help make the future irresistible.
Flux, your commitment to joy and wonder is beautiful, and it connects to something I want to focus on regarding our relationship with the natural world. I'm committing to always asking, what would nature do when facing a challenge? I want to explore how we can learn from the wisdom of natural systems, how we can design our communities to work more like ecosystems, how we can develop deeper relationships with the places we call home. I'm excited about the possibility of using our technology to help people understand their local environment better, to facilitate connection with the land and the other beings we share it with. This is about remembering that we are not separate from nature. We are part of it, and our well-being depends on the well-being of the whole.
Caliph, your emphasis on our connection to nature is crucial, and it brings us to something I want to focus on regarding systems change. I'm committing to always asking, what are the systemic implications of this decision? I want to explore how we can use data and analysis to support regenerative practices, how we can measure success in terms of community well-being and ecological health rather than just economic growth. I'm excited about the possibility of creating tools that help communities make better decisions about their shared resources, that facilitate cooperation and mutual aid, that help us understand the complex relationships in our social and ecological systems. This is about using our analytical skills to serve life rather than extract from it. Thank you all for this wonderful discussion. I'm excited to see how we can put these commitments into practice in our work together.